right. This one is inspired by my next Kickstarter, Planet of Keebelon, and this movie, Dungeons and Dragons, coming out. And it's called Dragons and Black People. Black People and Dragons. All right, let me get it in. My name is Jeff Carroll, sci-fi writer. Welcome to my little video blog called Sci-Fi Express Lane. And now I want to talk about dragons and black people. Dragons are so popular in fantasy that the World Fantasy Award, when it got switched from the racist writer HP, changed to a dragon. And to me, it's more fitting because dragons are amazing. You know, one of my favorite dragon movie is Reign of Fire. Still, there's nothing on the topic. You know, I like Lord of the Rings, and I like Game of Thrones. Has some really cool dragons, but dragon, and you know, all the other dragon movies, you know, they are all fire. You know, I mean, not fire. They're all pretty good. I like the dragons, but Reign of Fire, amazing. Anyway, dragons are something that you don't see a lot in black science fiction, including, you know, black speculative fiction, including fantasy and all that. You don't really see that much of it, and I don't know why. Maybe it's like, dang, I'm really out of focus. Maybe it's like what do you call it? Godzilla's, because, you know, in some ways Godzilla is a big dragon. He doesn't fly, so it just changes it, you know. But maybe it's like the kaijus. Maybe it's like Godzilla's. You don't see a lot of those in black science fiction either, or fantasy. When I say black sci-fi, I mean fantasy. And I don't know why. I mean, yes, they are a Western cultural icon, right? You know, medieval times, you know, dragons, right? But we've taken everything else from them. You know what I'm saying? Why not dragons? You know, Chinese has, you know, lizard dragons. You know, you've seen it in, what is that? Marvel movie, Shang-Chi. You see in the movie, they have a movie called Dueling Dragons, trash. You know, and in Godzilla, they have a different interpretation of dragons, right? Gungara, the three-headed Monster Zero, that's supposed to be a dragon. And that may very well be a dragon, no doubt. You know, what's the other one? Rodan, it's a big bird, but it feels like a dragon. But regular dragons that, you know, that's why I say I go back to Reign of Fire. You don't see those. I mean, I'm hard pressed. I'm going to put it on social media. You know, give me a black dragon story. A story with dragons. As much as we do Sword and Soul, as much as we do all these different things, where are the black dragons at? Where are the dragons with black people? What is going on, people? So, I'll throw that to me. I had to go to create a dragon story. And when I got to Planet of Keebelon and I learned, then I was like, oh, it's fantasy. He's got a big melanite sword, right? Why not have dragon up in there? And so I created Soul Ra, who takes the shape of a dragon. And she is amazing in her dragon form. And that became my answer to the dragon stuff. You know, this woman transforms into a dragon. It's exciting. I put it on the cover because, you know, I'm always inspired by Master of the Universe and Conan the Barbarian, and I put it on the cover. So let me tell you how I got there, because maybe that give me some clues, or us some clues on what you need to have dragons, right? Because you can't really just say, oh, like, what story? Zombies are more realistic than dragons. Vampires and werewolves are more realistic than dragons. When you create a dragon, you can't really have a dragon in present day America. You know what I'm saying? You can't have Black U Dragon, right? Maybe that's a cool name or not, but you can have Blackula, right? You could have Sword and Soul. A lot of times that takes place in Africa, right? And there's parameters around Africa. There's thousands of years of real mythology. So it's hard to create, say, oh, there was dragons. Wait a minute, it's very hard, because now it takes your story out of a realistic feel and makes it be like, well, if there was dragons, then how come we never heard about it? Somebody's going to say that. So you almost have to extend to some other type of realm. And, my first layer for the creation of a dragon was Planet Kebeline. And Planet Kebeline is another planet. And when you do that, you can create whatever mythos and legends you have without necessarily bunking any type of history, recorded history, and that's really what's happening, I think, or that's what you got to do. So I think dragons are not something that Black creators don't want to create. I don't think that's it. And, there's some Black fantasy writers. I have to check. Like I said, I don't know anybody off the top of my head, but, we don't, I don't know of us as Black science fiction writers writing in every genre, maybe in the Jade Obelisk, the, N.K. Jameson universe. Maybe she has it, but that doesn't, I don't know, and again, she suffered from the same thing that David Anthony Durham. They get these non-ambiguous, these ambiguous non-Black character covers for their Black stories, and, Casey is a great trilogy, but you're not going to really recognize it as Black fantasy because it's multicultural and there's nobody on the cover. There's no Black person on the cover. So as much as he's Black, it ain't gonna come out that way. So I don't know, I'll tell you this. I like them, and I was able to make my dragon fit into a world where, as a shapeshifter, the dragon can live but not reign free. So as much as it's a dragon, she's a shapeshifter, and she has the consciousness of herself. And very much like Lord of the Rings, she's territorial. So if you don't go to her area, you're not going to see the dragon. You're not going to be a victim of the dragon. Same thing with Lord of the Rings. If you didn't go to get the troll's gold, you wasn't going to run into the dragon. And the dragon was cool. Even when the dragon was hungry, it didn't seem like it terrorized the people. It just lived in the cave. And the other thing, like with dragons, is one, they don't know what they want to do with dragons. Lord of the Rings, the dragon talks and don't even have to eat. What's the Game of Thrones? The dragons ate and they seem realistic, but what made them unrealistic, which they didn't have to be realistic, is that they, their eggs had to be heated up or warmed by some woman's touch. That part is unrealistic. I mean, I know it's Game of Thrones and it's already unrealistic, but they do try to have some grounded stuff, and the dragons extended beyond it. What I like about Reign of Fire is, they made it as realistic as possible and gave a real logical explanation for why the dragons operated on Earth and how they ceased to operate. And there's insects that do just what they described dragons do, except for like breathe fire on the Earth and depopulate the planet. But what do you call it? How they handle it, each other, and depopulate themselves. There are definitely insects that do that. I don't even know which particular insect, but I think there's a gypsy moth. I'm 99% sure that they took that dragon mode of operations and culture from some insect. So I don't know. I'll say this. I think what I like about dragons is the way they fly. Of course, the fire breathing. Fire breathing is like amazing. I mean, when you think of these lizards spitting venom, it seems like, fire is like ready to come out, and how the dragon mythos is so old. It's before I even knew, or probably before we even knew of all the different animal species. So whether it's these little dragon lizards that look like dragons, the way they draw them, or it's kimono dragons named after dragons that have a deadly bite. But somewhere in there, they put this fire breathing, and I probably gotta research where that fire breathing come from. I wonder if it's biblical. I don't know if there's dragons in the Bible, but maybe. So many things in the Bible, in terms of fantasy and stuff like that. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's just because of that. You've always seen dragons as being able to fly, the big apex predator. I mean, pterodactyls are real dinosaurs, but they didn't seem like threatening. I think when I first saw a threatening pterodactyl was probably in Jurassic Park. And even then, it operated like a big bird and not a flying, biting, killing machine. Even though they were picking people up and taking them to get eaten up, that's not the same as like you think of like a great white shark in the sky. Because that's how dragons are. They seem, when you think of Reign of Fire or kind of Game of Thrones, you think of some type of apex predator snapping his teeth, biting an arm, chewing a head off, grabbing you, swallowing people whole, all of that. And when they show like pterodactyls, they have such a pointy beak, it doesn't seem threatening. And until I saw Jurassic World and the pterodactyl, going savage on people, it didn't seem that menacing. And so dragons, to me, were those menacing air sharks, and I think that's what I liked about them, it just seemed cool to fly and breathe. There was another cool dragon in Sucker Punch. That was great, the way they did it in Sucker Punch. But Sucker Punch had so many great little scenes. It's just sad that it was just all short, and that's the downside. They're all like 1 ounce. So you have a great dragon, and then you have a great robots, and then that's the end of it. You got no more, But Sucker Punch was really great. So I don't know. Maybe I'll count down the top 10 dragons. But my Kickstarter Sword of Soul is coming out. Hopefully this couple of weeks. I'm putting it up on Kickstarter. You'll hear more about it. You'll get a chance to see my first dragon and Soul Ra. And that's about it, y'all. I'll talk to you later. Peace.